Hello there and welcome to another live chapter reading for Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Today I shall be reading from Twisted Throttle, Satan's Devil's MC 2nd Generation, book number 3 by Manda Mellett. Chapter 1. Throttle. I've got a sighting of the Prospect's bike. Striding up, Mouse brusquely interrupts the conversation I'm having with Hound. Both of us stand immediately and my heart starts racing. Where? I could do with dishing out a good ass-kicking. Flicking his long grey streaked hair over his shoulders, Mouse grins. Having gotten the response he wanted, it's not gone far. It's hidden in a junkyard to the south of Tucson. Cast, Hound yells at the brother standing by the bar. Throttle and I are headed out. Wanna come? I grin. He hasn't even asked me, but he knows I won't turn this shit down. Nathan might just be a prospect, but he and his belong to the Satan's Devils, and stealing a man's ride is one of the worst crimes possible to commit. Flexing my knuckles makes them crack. I know I'm going to enjoy teaching the culprit a lesson he won't forget once we get our hands on him. As our phones ping with the location, the three of us waste no time. Nathan's rightly proud of his ride and had tricked it out. While it might be broken for parts, shipping it out of state and selling it would bring in far more dollars. We can't waste time if we want to get it back, and hopefully catch whoever stole it red-handed as well. Since our previous enemy, Archangel, was put into the ground, life has been quiet. While I wouldn't wish trouble on the club, I could do with some excitement. My adrenaline rises as I head for my bike. Want company? Drifter asks as I'm throwing my leg astride the seat. News has obviously got around and brothers are flooding down to the clubhouse. Now we've got this, Hound calls. I show my agreement with a raise of my chin. I want to come. Swinging round, I see Nathan standing there with a petulant look on his face. You were the one who lost it in the first place, I round on him. If I were you, Prospect, I wouldn't be reminding us of that fucking fact. No ride, no place in the Satan's Devils. He pales and takes a step back. Sure, I can yank his chain, but the way his bike had been stolen from under our fucking noses had been slick. It could have been mine if I'd left it without it being padlocked up, which I might have done had I expected to be only gone for a minute. Who locks their bike when stepping off just for a moment to drop something off? Hey, Prospect. Yeah, you, Razzer, I point to Rascal, another of our prospects, and if he keeps his nose clean, one will be soon patching in. Get your fucking bike, you're coming with. He's sharp and eager and doesn't waste a minute to run to get his own two-wheeler. Go get 'em, brothers, Joker calls out, walking down towards us with his arm over Lady's shoulders. Hound, the club sergeant-at-arms, is waiting for me. As enforcer, I'll head the ride alongside him. With just a check over our shoulders that Cast and the Prospect are ready to go, we twist our throttles and ride down to the gates, which our third prospect, Butcher, has already opened. Then once carefully down the track that always seems it could do with some maintenance, we hit the highway, increase our speed and head towards town. Nathan's bike is red-hot property. Unless it was stolen by a blind man, no one could have missed the Prospect leaving it unattended outside Angel's, for fuck's sake. The strip club's the Satan's Devil's own. He'd only parked there to take Butcher the phone he'd left behind, but those few minutes proved more than sufficient for it to be hot-wired and driven off. 2 days it's been gone, 2 fucking days that Mouse has spent poring over the CCTV footage and tracking it across the city. The thief had been clever though, detouring through residential areas where security cameras didn't exist, or were less accessible. How Mouse found it in the end I hadn't bothered to ask. I just assumed he'd done what the computer guru always does best and worked his magic on the keyboard. Of course, our burning question was whether the bike was deliberately taken by someone waiting to fuck with us, or if it was just an opportunistic crime. The danger is the more time passes, the more likely it will be stripped or moved on. It's a matter of pride to all who wear our patch that we get it back. No one fucks with the Satan's Devils. The recovery is a question of our honour, and a punishment of the culprit is to send a message. As enforcer, it's my job to emphasise the stupidity of messing with the club. My anticipation grows each mile we cover as we ride through Tucson. When Hound pulls us over before the place comes into sight, I understand, but I'm frustrated with the delay. As we stand around him, he places a call to Mouse. Got eyes, brother? Of course I fucking have. There's a snick, then an indrawn breath, and we wait for Mouse to take an inhale of his inevitable joint. I've tapped into their security. I've only seen 2 men, one in the office and one operating the crusher. Prospect's bike? Back of the yard near the rear boundary. I only spotted it because of the flames painted on the tank. It's hidden in with a heap of others. Stolen or wrecked? If there are more intact motorcycles, we could have stumbled into a bigger operation, and not just one where it's only our club that's the target. Hard to tell with the view I've got. I raise my chin towards Hound, who nods, clearly thinking the same as I. So do we just walk in the front door? Cass asks. An idea occurs to me. The bike of the prospect who's come in with us is a proper rat. Something he's cobbled together himself. Bit of this, bit of that. We tolerate it as it's fast as shit, but it's ugly and hell and doesn't even have a proper paint job, though he promises one day he'll get around to it. Hey Razza, you looking to scrap that heap of shit? His eyes go wide, but like I remind myself earlier, he's not far off patching in and catches on immediately. Could do with the cash, he replies with a wink. And we're just friends along for the ride. Hound grins widely and starts removing his cut. Cast and I do likewise, and Rascal follows our lead. With our cuts safely stowed in our saddlebags, we get back on the bikes and head off down the road again. From there it goes like a dream. Our story gets us in, we overpower the man in the office and have him tied up in under a minute. Then we meet the same man again, causing me to do a double take before I realise he has to be the first man's twin. 2 down and 1 prospect's bike quickly found. Hound calls for the crash truck to take the 2 breathing bodies and 1 reclaimed bike back to the compound, while I connect my own call to Mouse. It doesn't take me long to sum up the situation. Looks like a trade in stolen bikes, I tell him, having seen the sight of a number of perfect bikes hidden in a heap of wrecks. And there's a computer here. When he asks me to switch it on, I do, and henceforth follow his instructions. Within moments, his exhaled bingo tells me he's in and already downloading their secrets. An hour later, we're back on the compound along with Nathan's bike and the 2 thieves trussed up like chickens. Here you brought me a present, brother. Blade, our ex-enforcer, grins widely as he falls into step behind me. Been quiet lately. Mine, I growl possessively. Well, fuck, I did all the work bringing them in. Hey, I can watch, can't I? He whines. Fucking old guys, I grumble. The prospects jump into action, Nathan being particularly rough, but who could blame him? In no time at all, both culprits are strung up in our storage come torture room. Plastic sheeting has already been spread out, luckily. As it happens, one has already pissed himself. Other brothers following after us, all wanting to see justice served. No man should touch another man's ride, let alone steal it. It's a cardinal sin in our eyes. As I step closer, I throw Blade a warning glance. Sure, I respect the fuck out of him, but ill health meant he had to step down, and as much as he doesn't like it, this is my role now. As he raises his chin towards me whilst simultaneously rubbing at one of his hands, I know he understands and wouldn't disrespect me in front of the brothers. Glancing around, I see the room is filled and is standing room only. Now it's my time to shine. Finally, I get the sign I was waiting for, a nod from our prez wizard. This can go one of 2 ways, I draw lazily as I grab hold of a stool and position it in front of the men. Sitting, I stretch out my legs, crossing them at the ankles, and fold my arms, purposefully relaxing my body. It's a direct contrast to the way their arms will already be feeling the strain. This can go easy or fucking hard. Which will it be, boys? The thieves are so similar it's hard to tell them apart. I suppose working where they do, you couldn't expect them to be spotless, but they're scruffy and not particularly clean. From where I am, I can smell a bad case of body odour. Maybe I'd accept it easier if I'd thought they'd shed sweat as a result of an honest day's work. When they don't answer my question, while I discount the faint whimper from one, I lift my chin and bark, Names, you first. I point to the one on the right. Still they make no move to cooperate, but a deep voice booms out behind me. The Dre twins, Cedar and Oak. Cedar and fucking Oak? I half turn to check Mouse isn't joking. He gives me a chin lift, then continues. Their pa owns a scrapyard, but is more of a silent partner nowadays. Thank fuck Mouse has done his work. So, I face front again. Is pa someone we should bring in? The men look at each other in horror. No, it has nothing to do with him, the one on the right calls out. Are they protecting the old man? His sons must be at least 40, or are they doing something he wouldn't approve of? Well, that's for me to discover. Cedar, I try, and yeah, one pair of eyes shoots to mine. Was it you who sold the Satan's Devil's bike? His mouth slams shut. I sigh, unfold my arms and straighten my legs, then I get to my feet slowly. Hard it is. I pick up the baseball bat. A few broken ribs, 2 broken noses, and at least 1 broken leg later, the injuries split equally between the pair, I find out precisely what racket they're running. They run a gang who steal, then bring them the bikes. They, as expected, either stripped them or shipped them to a dealer in California. Ship them to California where they've got a friendly dealer. I stepped back, put down a baseball bat, then approached them again. "You going to shut your operation down?" "Man, how do you expect us to earn a living?" "Going fucking straight." I tossed back at Cedar. "You've got a legit business." "We'll go straight," Oak cries out. "We promise." "Shut it, Oak." "One short way of making sure they permanently end their operation is to finish them here and now," Wizard said coldly. His tone making even me shiver. Shrugging, I take my gun out of my cut. "We'll stop." Cedar's got the hang of this now. "We'll break up the gang, go straight, just like you suggested." Blade's eyes are fixed on me. His brow is creased. Does he think I'm going to let them get away with it? I throw a grin in his direction. "See," I turn back to the twins. "You may not think it, but I was brought up right. I even know some of the scriptures." "You know what happens to thieves?" I pause for a moment, enjoying their confusion before I tell them. "They get a hand cut off." "I seem to think that's a good punishment." "It was him," Cedar shouts. "I just went along with it. Oak told me what to do. I've got a family, and I can't work if I lose a hand." "Cedar," Oak's expression makes me sure, far from being the ringleader, he was the one coerced into the game. He's shaking like a fucking leaf. Seems like Cedar got the backbone which he lost out on. "A word, brother?" Blade's got a gleam in his eyes. It's a sign he's got something to say that might well be worth my while to listen to. When he jerks his head, I follow into a corner. As I listen to what he has to say, I start to grin. Then my expression becomes a full-on smirk. The ex-enforcer is a working example of why, while much of life can be taken away when your hands no longer fully function, there's nothing wrong with his brain. And on this occasion he does have the answer. I'm also keen on trying his experiments. I mean, I've heard and even read about it, but empirical evidence always helps. Screams, pleas and begging go completely unheeded as first Oak, then Cedar is taken down and forced over to the vice. Their eyes flick in horror as I casually ask, "Now, who's going to be first?" I decide for them. "Cedar it is." "Who's Cedar?" "Fucking not." Nah, I break up the familial betrayal. Oak was the one who's pissed himself. "Get him in place, brothers." Shooter and Marvel jump forward, anticipation sparkling in their eyes, and at my signal they take a tight grip and force Cedar's right hand down. Now, following Blade's helpful suggestion, I turn the vice, crushing the bones and severely damaging the tendons. Beside me, Oak screams in pain and wrenches his hand away from the prospects. Cradling it in his left, I exchange glances with Blade and grin. He owes me $5 that he'll have to pay me later, since the identical twins do indeed feel each other's pain. Being convinced that Cedar's the ringleader, I catch Prez's eye, jerk my head towards Oak and give a negative shake. Prez nods, sealing Oak's reprieve for now. If they go back to stealing, he will know what's coming for him. As a verbal warning, I add, raising my voice to be heard over Cedar's continuing sobs of anguish. "Next time it will be your dick in the vice, you fucking hear me?" When Oak pukes, luckily on the plastic, it's time to get them out of here. The two men are loaded into the truck and Butcher takes the driver's seat. The other prospects, Nathan now back on his bike and Rascal, I instruct as an escort. Then, waving at Blade, I invite him to come along for the ride. The ex-enforcer and I follow the procession into Tucson to complete the final stages of our plan. I know a junkyard is full of dangerous machinery and vehicles of all shapes and types just waiting to go in the crusher. A blow to the back of each twin's heads renders them unconscious as soon as we arrive and gives us time to work out how to pose them. It takes only a few minutes to decide which of the toys we have at our disposal we'll play with. Then we put our plan into action. When it's done to our satisfaction, we drive away, relishing the image of the two men trapped how we left them. A block and tackle will be thought to have given way, trapping both their right hands under a heavy truck engine. Cedar's is clearly crushed, possibly beyond repair. Oak's? Well, it depends on how loudly they can scream for attention, and how long it takes for rescue to arrive. How long will it be? Fuck knows, I don't give a damn. If they die, so be it. If they're found, well, a surgeon will be earning his money. Any story about Satan Devil's involvement? Very unlikely. Before knocking them unconscious, I'd issued some threats that should they point a finger in our direction or ever steal a motorcycle again. When Mars discovers they have no health insurance, I grin. Don't touch a man's ride. It's not fucking worth it. Bikers don't take shit from anyone. I hope you enjoyed the chapter reading and that you'll go check out the book. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.